Excel 2016, Module 6, pages 330 through 335. On page 330, please read briefly about grouping worksheets. Open up your Michigan file. You know the drill by now. Save as, which is F12, save it as Jackson. Go to the documentation sheet and enter your name and the date. So pause the video and just go do those little tasks real quick. Okay, go to your quarter 1 worksheet and just take a look. What I want you to notice is that the quarter 1 worksheet, the quarter 2, 3, and 4 are all formatted exactly the same. And what I mean by that is whatever is in cell A6 on quarter 1 is what's in cell A6 on quarter 2 and quarter 3 and quarter 4. Okay, they have to be exactly the same. Now obviously the figures are going to be different, but the formatting of where these figures are located is indeed the same. Okay, and even though our months change with the quarters, they are located in the same cells. Does that make sense? Okay, because we have to have continuity when we start grouping worksheets. And this is a tremendous time-saving device and something that you will use in the real world all the time. Okay, so read on page 331, and it's going to explain to you precisely what we're doing and why we're doing it, and about grouping and ungrouping worksheets. All right, step number 1 on page 331. Click the quarter 1 sheet tab, which hopefully you're already there. If not, just go ahead and click on it to make it the active sheet. Now this is an adjacent selection, so remember with adjacent selection you use your shift key. So shift and click on the quarter 4 sheet tab. So now as you can see they're all selected. We can tell they're in a group because the backgrounds are all white. Notice the documentation sheet, make sure you don't click on it, is not the same. It's gray. And the active sheet shows up with green font. Okay, so even though these are in the group, they have that black font, which means that's not the active sheet because it's in the black font. So the green font indicates the active sheet. So we now have a group of quarter 1 through quarter 4. If you missed that, let's try it again. So to ungroup, you just click on a different sheet. So I'm just going to click on documentation. Boom, do you see it? It's gone. I no longer have a group. So once again, to group your worksheets, click on the first worksheet. And because we're using all adjacent next to each other worksheets, we can use our shift key and we shift and then left click. And now we've grouped these into one group. Quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all in a worksheet group. Okay, go ahead and turn to page 332. To change the active sheet, all you have to do is literally click on a different tab. So they stay, because they're in the group, you can click on whatever sheet you want and they stay in the group. As long as you don't click on the documentation tab, you're fine. And if you do, just regroup, no big deal. All right, go ahead and read about entering headings and formulas in a worksheet group. You need to understand what we're doing. All right, on the top of page 333, to enter formulas to calculate the rental income totals in the group of worksheets. Step number 1. Now we're back on quarter 1. Select cell B12. So here's B and here's 12. You want to enter the formula in cell B12 in each of the 4 worksheets in the group. Step number 2. On the Home tab in the Editing group, click the AutoSum button. Hopefully by now you know exactly where that is. The formula that displays is equals sum, open paren, B6, colon, B11, closed paren. And that's what's entered in B12 in every single worksheet. Adding the total rental income at the Jackson Rental Center for the first month of each quarter. Go ahead and press your Enter key to accept it. Click on the Quarter 4 tab, and you'll see the total right there, $15,426. Okay, let's go back to our Quarter 1 sheet tab, and it says sum equals B6 through B11, and guess what? Quarter 2 says sum of B6 through B11, quarter 3, and quarter 4. Okay? All right, now step number 3. Copy the formula in cell B12 to the range C12 through D12. So we're going to copy this to C12 and D12. Okay? Now again, if you click on each sheet, you're going to see it's taking place on each sheet so that you don't have to do it separately. In cell E6, we're going to go to E and we're going to go to 6. We want again to sum, right? So go ahead and use your AutoSum. And your formula should be equal sum B6 to D6. Go ahead and press your Enter key. Step number 5, copy the formula in cell E6 to the range E7 to E12. All the way down, just like that. This calculates the rental income for music practice, medical centers, religious centers, miscellaneous, and retail, as well as the grand total of rental income at the Jackson Rental Center for each quarter. For quarter 4, let's click over there. The Jackson site had $9,626 in rental income, and that's right there. You see it? Excuse me, that was the rental income for the music practice. $14,738 for medical centers, right there. Okay, $1,838 for religious centers, $43.13 for miscellaneous, and $56.75 for retail, and your grand total is $50,266. All right, I just like to work on the quarter 1 worksheet. It doesn't matter. Whatever you do in any of these sheets happens on all of them. I don't know why I just like to go back to quarter 1. I just do. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want, because if you could be in any of these sheets, and what we're about to do will happen in all of them. Okay, in cell A12, here's A and here's 12. And also in cell E5, enter the label totals. So we're just going to put totals in right here and on E5. Okay, so you did it in totals in A12, totals in E5, just as the label. All right, click the quarter 3 sheet tab, and then click cell B12 to make it the active cell. You should see the formula equals sum B6 to B11, okay? And your value that is returned should be 15,014. Now, the formulas and labels you entered in the quarter 4 worksheet or the quarter 1 worksheet, wherever you were working, because honestly it doesn't matter where you work, you can work in any of them, show up in all of the worksheets. So any of these we click on, you're going to see that you've got totals, right? Turn to page 334. Click the quarter 2 sheet tab, check cell B12, make sure it reads equals sum B6 through B11, and it returns 18,938. And then click back on the quarter 1 worksheet. The book is just having you check things, and this one should be 18,726. Okay, pretty easy so far, right? All right, let's read about formatting a worksheet group and editing grouped worksheets really briefly in the middle of 334. Stop and read that real quick. Okay, on 334, to apply formatting to the worksheet group. In the quarter 1 worksheet, click cell A1. All right, I'm in quarter 1. There's cell A1. You certainly could have done a control home. Format the cell with bold 14-point Courier New. All right, so we want bold, 14-point, and Courier New. And remember, when you hit that down pointing arrow, you can just start typing in the name of it and it will come up. So I did bold, 14-point, Courier New. Pause if you need to pause and finish that up, because now we need to find the color, which is dark blue text 2 lighter 40. So let's go up to our color, and there's dark blue text 2 lighter 40 right there. Go ahead and select that. All right, select cell A12 and increase the indent 1 time right there. Step number 3, select the non-adjacent range A2 to A3. All right, so here's A2 to A3, A6 to A12. And remember, you're using your control key because it's non-adjacent. So A6 to A12. And then B5 to E5. So B5 to E5. Okay, A3 and A2 to A3, A6 to A12, and B5 to E5, and then just click your bold formatting button. Okay, we're just going to bold them all. Merge and center A1 to E1. Okay, here's A1 to E1. Here's my merge and center button. And merge A2 to E2. Okay, here's A2 to E2. And there again is my margin center. Okay. Select the range B5 to E5. So here is B5 to E5, and center your text. Select the non-adjacent range B6 to D6. Here's B6 to D6. B12 to D12. Here's B12 to D12. And E6 to E12. So E6 to E12. Okay, if you missed, just stop and try again. Remember to use your control key. Okay, got all that? And we want the accounting format with no decimal places. All right, accounting format right here. Decrease decimals. Right on down, and there we go. Now, step number 7. Select the range B7, so here's B and here's 7, to D11, here's D, here's 11, and apply the comma style with no decimal places. Okay, comma style, no decimals. No change is visible in any number that is less than 1,000. Okay, so you can see it all right here. And what they're saying is you don't put a comma in a number that's less than 1,000. So you won't see a change in 438 or 625 or 400. Okay, step number 8. Select the range B5 to E5. Okay, here's B, here's 5. So B5 to E5. And then B11 to E11. So here's B11 to E11. And add a bottom border. So right there. Deselect. Looks pretty good so far, right? This is probably a good time to reach up and hit your save icon so you don't lose any of this. And then at the top of page 335, the last thing we're going to do, it just says, go to each worksheet in the group and review your formatting changes. Okay, so basically you just want to go through and make sure that everything you did happened on every single sheet. And when you get finished with that, please save your file and you're ready to ungroup them and then move on to the next video. And to ungroup, are you ready? It's super hard. Click on your documentation sheet. Now they're ungrouped, right? No big deal. Okay, so read just real quickly, ungrouping worksheets. We just did it. And then save and move on to your next video.